What up, kids? All right, so it's been a little while, and if you look at the past maybe 5-6 streams, I start every stream like that. It's been a while. Thing is, I was in the process of moving. I have moved. That is done, along with a few other things that were going on, and honestly, just lack of inspiration. Did not really know what I wanted to do with the channel. I know I want to make stuff. I know I like doing these streams. So a lot of new, as for anyone that's, subscribed to the channel, you've been around, I'm sure you've seen the recent post. Been a few new videos, like I put up like 3, I think, in the past like 3-4 weeks. And more stuff is coming. And we're going to try to go back to weekly shows. So at least one stream a week. And after hours, there will be an after hours stream right after this one. Different topic. It's already up. But yeah, let's get into it. Of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for regular uploads and updates and notifications on streams like this as well. But yeah, honestly, let's get right into it, because this is the news about this. Like, if you clicked on this, you saw the thumbnail, so you probably already have an idea. And which is crazy, because I just did a video kind of talking. I did a whole video about Disney remakes just last week. And sure enough, already. And it's just really funny. But of course, I'm not alone. The bull is here. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Shannon?
Which appropriate, because it's movie related stuff. So talking to you about it. But let's just dive right on into it. I don't know if you heard about this, but well, did you see the video I did about the Little Mermaid?
I did.
What did you think?
I thought it was interesting. I didn't. I did expect that if they were gonna make this new movie, they were gonna have some updates to it. They were gonna do some revisions on the lyrics and stuff like that. For me personally, it doesn't really bother me because the original stuff is still out there. You know what I mean? But at the same time,
Oh,
like
so
I
you're
do
saying,
understand.
like, hey, like that you could do about it. So it's like, we got the other one.
Well, the other thing too is the other thing too is I mean, I guess they're trying to do a revision, and things are going to be different from the original. And for me personally, it's like I have no interest in these movies because I've grown out of them personally. Like that's just where I am. Like, but I do understand people's concern because it strays away from the original. But I think people really need to understand that the original is still there for your children. Like these things, like there is going to be like your children are going to be exposed to these type of things, and I understand like there would be a concern that you would believe that a company like Disney would be manipulating your children, but they've been doing that even when you were kids. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't even think it's a thing about manipulation. Honestly, it's just the integrity of it, and it's funny to talk about, because it's
Oh, and
funny to
also, yeah,
see how
I'm not trying to
tone
insinuate
deaf.
that. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to insinuate that you brought that up like in a sense of saying like that like a corporation like Disney would try to manipulate you for buying products
I
or
mean, they
giving you
do.
like they
They
do.
do.
Like that's all I'm saying. Like that, but I'm not saying that I got that from your video. That you're just like that. You ever even said that? I obviously we don't have to go over your video because you made
Yeah,
it. I saw it. Yeah,
it's there. Go watch it. Uh,
exactly.
but yeah. So the reason why that relates to it is because of this. This is from Screen Rant. You don't know about Screen Rant, like, get on it. I think I don't know, sometimes, like, entertainment, any news period nowadays, it's kind of hard to get just ads. It always makes me think of that South Park episode um with the ads. I don't know if you
I
ever
missed
saw that
that.
one.
I missed that one. I haven't been watching South
Oh,
Park actually. I know the new season's out right now, but I haven't been watching it at
oh yeah,
all.
it's still, like, it's not as good as it was, but, like, it is it's still, like, good, like, consistently, just, like, well written and funny.
The
Anyway,
last one I saw
so
was okay, sorry.
no, please. Last South Park you saw
No,
was which one?
Integrity Farms. That one was great. I loved it. I thought it was really funny.
Oh,
I just
all the
don't know which
Integrity
episode
Farm
it was.
stuff was good. Okay, so
Yeah,
you just gotta watch a few more, like some of the movies that came out and stuff.
okay.
We should do a South Park stream. Okay. But look at that. Anyway, story from Screen Rant says this casting is blatant colorism. Live action Lilo and Stitch's Nani casting upsets fans. Fans take to social media to call out the colorism in casting of Lilo's older sister Nani in Disney's upcoming live action Lilo and Stitch film. Now, for those who do not know, because I saw this and I thought it was very interesting. So this girl like born and raised in Hawaii or whatever. She is like a quarter Polynesian, right? Like so like Hawaiian native. People are saying that's not enough. Basically, what they're saying is like, oh, she's not a pure blood, and she's too light. She's too light, and Nani is darker. Now, what's interesting is it would appear as though maybe not every single person, the same people that are upset about that, and I don't even think it's a lot of people. I think it's probably like 10 people who all have like fake accounts. But these same people are the same people that when people were kind of like kind of cringed at the Little Mermaid casting, were like, well, why does the race matter? You know, why does it matter? It can be played. These are fictional characters. Now, one could argue that being Hawaiian is the character, like it is a part of, I guess, the character, not like horrendously, because the basics of the story of Lilo and Stitch, you could do that with anyone of any nationality, would still resonate, you know, as long as like it takes place like in the States, because the whole social worker thing, which is another thing we can get into in a second. But this goes to show you, Disney, it's never enough. You cannot win. You cannot win. You give them an inch, they want a mile. And get this, they gave them a mile straight up. You changed a Disney princess, an iconic, and one of the points I made in the video that I did about Disney remakes and highlighting the Little Mermaid and why they don't work, and why, get this, why they don't work and why they make people cringe. And also it's for the same reason why people are like ill when they like do a race swap with like Ariel. These movies are like really steeped in visuals. Like, yeah, it's like iconic, like the characters and like their names and like catchphrases and the songs and all that stuff. But like these were animated movies. And I think people need to stop looking at animation as like a genre and look at it as a medium, because that's what it is. And that's why these movies don't do well. Yeah, them changing all like these little things, like it messes with our nostalgia, and some of it is cringe, especially when you hear the reasons why. And then when they give the reasons why, it's like, okay, this is your reason why. That's cringe, and we also know that you don't genuinely feel that way. It's just a virtue signal. Like there's a bunch of reasons why it's like ill. Like no, like I'm good off this. Now it is not the end of the world, people. Like, and when you see people going on, which I also went over in my video, when people are passionate about this stuff, and that's the internet, like that's the game. And you know, if it doesn't bother you, like Chris just said, he's like, hey man, and I would take it, and tell me if I'm wrong, Chris. I would take it just from like your delivery and the specifics of what you said. You're like, yeah, Disney remakes suck. No matter what's gonna happen, they're always gonna suck. But it's okay because they can keep making their shit because I have the originals.
I didn't say that they sucked, but that they're gonna be different, and they might
Okay,
not, yeah, they might not work for you, but that, the original stuff is still there.
like you're saying,
Uh,
it doesn't take away from it because like it's like you're mad about it, like it's not replacing it.
exactly. Like there are some issues that I do tend to get is sometimes when like Disney Plus, or like I remember this isn't Lilo and Stitch, but like the Mulan movie. Like I was fine with the Mulan movie. I mean, I didn't really care for it, but like the original cartoon, I heard that they were gonna take out the dragon played by Eddie Murphy because they said it was racist because it's black caricature and
Wait,
he's a
is that
cartoon
racist?
character.
Wait, that's why they took out Mushu?
Did they take him
That's
out? Because
kind of
I didn't
stupid.
know.
I
Like
feel like
I might be wrong, but
that's
it was
weird.
something in that, like it's something in that, like I don't really not that I have an issue with it per se, but it's just like, oh, like I don't really care for that decision. Like for you to mess with something
Yeah, like
original
that's
and
kind of
then and
corny. I
then
feel
bring
like
it back. Yeah, like you're censoring a part
that's one
of
of the things that
people's.
makes it kind of Disney.
What do you mean? What makes part of Disney? I'm sorry.
Like Mushu's like one of those characters where it's like that kind of gives it, because like there have been a million, like Mulan movies and
Oh
stuff.
yes, I see.
And
I
like
see.
the
Like there's an
Disney and like the Disney version, like having like a character like like the animal sidekicks, like that kind of makes it
yeah,
kind
the
of Disney. And
anthropomorphic
Mushu played a
character
big
that's comic.
role.
Yeah.
like in the Disney one, like they would have never have went to war if it wasn't for Mushu. They would have never gotten to that fight in the mountains if it wasn't for Mushu. Mulan probably would have died, honestly, if it wasn't for Mushu. I mean, like he drew and like lied and stuff, but like so did she. And they, come to terms with that later on. And like then he even helps her later on in the movie. Like he's a reflection of her. No pun intended, reflection.
Yeah, yeah.
He's kind of a reflection of her or whatever. They kind
Hmm.
of both like get this. They come from the same family. They're both kind of screw ups and they're both trying to prove themselves. And like they both
Hmm.
do selfish things to kind of just make themselves feel better. But in the end, they end up helping their family and helping, honestly, the entire
Hmm.
country of China. And I feel like that, like it's like that Disney charm, along with like all her funny friends and stuff, like that she makes in the army. They took all that stuff away, and like honestly, I don't mind it. When I heard that they were gonna remake Mulan, I was like, you know what, this may be one of the ones where like they could do something pretty dope. I thought they were gonna do like more like the other Mulan movies, maybe like a straight edge kind of like drama, like war movie type thing, like about this girl. But like as far as the Disney stuff, bring in the whole like her being like clumsy and like awkward, and maybe even have Mushu, but like make it serious, like just but like in play up the magic stuff with her ancestors, but like make it a straightforward kind of. Basically, the Disney part would be, like a Mushu and like the ancestor stuff and her being kind of a dork and clumsy. And then everything else, you just take. I would have took stuff from all the best Mulan movies that are out there and just combined them, and then like with the Disney flair, because like
Hmm.
Disney owns the name. So yeah, like that was a wasted opportunity, because what they ended up doing was like the same cringe stuff they do with all this stuff now, where it's like, oh, unbeatable girl boss, and like she's just like kind of boring and bland, and she's just powerful just because, and
Yeah, and I
nothing's
think they were
earned.
working. They were working with China very closely with that movie, like because they were trying to sell it
China
to
hated
China
it
as well.
too.
Yeah. Well, I don't really know about the reception of it, but I remember that there was an actress that spoke against something happening politically in China, and then there came a whole big kerfuffle about that and the production of the movie, and then she had to apologize and stuff, and then the right wing media started talking about that a whole lot. Like, you see how they censor the people
You
that work for
see?
them and stuff. Yeah, like yeah, it's on both sides. It's like you got the left
It
side,
really is.
yeah, left side like boo boo hoo, and then the right side boo hoo, and then it's just like, what the fuck. But I do get it. Like these things are happening. Like, you have the powers that be in this case, like not just China, but just giant corporations trying to sell a product, and then there's things that are happening politically and socially on the side, and then you have a
I think the
person working for
political
this corporation.
stuff, in my opinion, I think it's the people that are like the people that are getting these writing jobs for this stuff. They're like they're millennials.
I mean, they would have to be like, because they're not always
Yeah.
gonna be, and they're not always gonna be millennials, Shannon. Like, through
Yeah, no,
time, like
I
when
know
we get
that. What I'm
older.
saying is
Yeah.
this is the current, these are
Mm-hmm.
people that get
Yeah.
jobs, and get this, they're getting jobs not because they're qualified, for barrage of reasons. I mean, in Hollywood, it's always kind of been like that, where like it's like connections, but like
Mm-hmm.
we are living in a time now where like just talent and just having the being competent is no longer like, and people come in who, and everything is remakes and reboots, especially with these big studios like Disney is like the one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it does kind of make sense where it's like, okay, well, they're creatively bankrupt, so they're going to try to cash in on older properties. Again, we don't like it, but it's like, okay, but if you're going to do that, at least try. They're not trying.
It
And what's
seems with the
crazy is
Lilo,
they're, yeah,
it seems with the Lilo and Stitch project, they're kind of trying because they have the writer of Moana in it, and he's got a Hawaiian, he's Hawaiian, and they got a lot of Hawaiian actors
I
involved with
think
it.
that's stupid. Which I heard about that.
I
Or
think
like,
it's
oh, we
fine.
have like people. The guy who wrote it, like Chris Sanders. First off, Chris Sanders was always one of my favorite artists, and he's been at Disney. He was at Disney for years. He worked on like all the big stuff, like Lion King, like I Can't Wait to Be King. That whole sequence, like that was him, like genius stuff. And then Lilo and Stitch, when he wrote that, they were like, yo, we should just make the whole movie look like his drawings. And the whole movie looks like if you notice, Lilo and Stitch looks a little different. And it's because they were just like, oh, we're just going to do Chris Sanders' style. And he directed it. He plays Stitch. and he's played Stitch. I believe he's always played Stitch. I don't think there's anyone else that has ever played him, even in the show.
He's still playing Stitch in this new movie too.
Oh, okay. I figured as much, but like to be quite honest, I bet you he's not cool with it, like this even
There's not
happening.
there's not a lot of talks on how this movie's gonna go down. Like they did announce the cast, but there are some roles, like there are some cast members that their roles haven't been announced yet. Like Zach Galifianakis is in it, and people are only speculating who he's gonna be.
I would
And
cast him as Pleakley. Like I could see it, but it's
that's what
still
people have been
disappointing.
saying. That's what
Yeah.
people have been saying, and that's kind of like like that sounds like a sure shot. Like that's who he would be. But at the same time, like I like the director that they picked because I mean I liked the movie Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, and Lilo and Stitch
Yeah.
is kind of
I
like a
heard that
really
it's that guy.
like Lilo and Stitch is a cuddly ass movie. Like it's it's a short movie. Like for me, it's like E.T. but in Hawaii, kind of like
Yeah,
I
basically.
know
Well,
there's more to it, but like
let's be real here though. They get directors and Disney, this is a pattern. Same thing with the Marvel stuff.
with all studios. They'll get a
They
director that's brand new, and then they tell them what the fuck to do. Like they're,
not even brand new. I was gonna say like with these big like Lilo and Stitch, like even like every single movie, they're like, oh, so and so's doing this, so and so's doing that. And I'm like, why all these Jones look the same though? Like I
because
can't
it's
see
with that
them.
company with Disney and like big studios like this. Like it's not just the director. The director's only job is to make sure that everything around him is under control, but at the same time, he has other people behind him making sure that the project is the way that they intend to do it because they're the ones that are putting the money into it.
I know I'm
And
not
that's
putting
all
the
it's about.
blame on the director. I'm
And
saying
you're
like
not.
it
You're
doesn't
not.
matter. It's
I'm giving you a
them.
slight explanation of how that works out, especially when you're talking about a company like Disney. Like for
Now,
me
some
personally,
directors I think have like and I think it depends. I think it depends on the project. Like if it's a project, and we see this with every studio, if it's a project that they're like, meh, they're not gonna care as much. And then those movies are always hits. Like honestly, guess what I just watched? Guess what I just watched finally?
what's that?
Jungle Book. And ladies and gentlemen, that movie is fantastic.
It's great.
It is great.
It's great.
Excellent. And I've seen the original Jungle Book. I think I was one of the only few kids that actually watched it as a kid. Because when I talk to people, they're like, I never saw the Jungle Book. And I'm like, oh, I liked it as a kid.
You need to watch it. I like the sequel too. I remember the sequel came out in theaters when we were kids.
Oh, Jungle Book
That's a
2.
nice one.
Yeah. I think I saw actually, I think I've watched that one more than the original, but I remember watching the original a lot as like a little kid.
And the director of the Jungle Book live
Favreau.
action, like that's Favreau, and he has a good relationship with Disney. I mean, like prior to that, like he was with Marvel Studios with Iron Man, and like I think all of that just kind of bled through. He has a good relationship with the people that are aside. So I think that he kind of had good communication with everybody,
He
and he was
can
able
do
to
what he
do that.
wants to a degree
Yeah,
because I have this theory
exactly.
that the only reason he did Lion King was he could make the Mandalorian. I s- and I
Probably,
I
most
stand
likely.
by that because
Really,
there's no reason.
the only complaint that I have about Lion King
It's a
is the
dumb
look,
idea.
and it's the same fucking movie as the cartoon. Like it's the same, but it's just different because of different cast playing it. The music isn't as good because like how you gonna beat it? Like basically, it's just the old one with new paint on it. That's it.
You know what I said that they should have did? Get this. Actually, I wouldn't have did anything, but if it's like, okay, we're trying to capitalize on stuff that we have. The Lion King's one of the biggest things. What I would have did was because like the movie, first off, it's not live action. It's an animated remake of an animated movie, right? I would have did it because honestly, it looks great. It looks
It
very
does.
realistic, but it doesn't
Makes
work
sense.
considering the story. However, the story would have worked if you animate the whole movie, you make it hyper realistic, like how it looks. No dialogue. You do it, make it look like a nature documentary, but tell the story
It's kind
and
of
with
movies I
the
would want to
music.
see.
And get this, the only songs that would have lyrics would be Circle of Life and Can You Feel the Love Tonight, right?
Okay.
But you have instrumentals, you have the score, Hans Zimmer's score, playing throughout, and you make it like a nature documentary, which Disney has done before, but animated. And you
Hmm.
play that on IMAX, yo, people would still go see it. They would be pissed off probably, but they would have paid to go see it. You probably wouldn't have made $1 billion, but you would have
They
made a couple hundred million.
they already made like a lot of money off of that Lion King movie. That
They
movie made
did.
gangbusters.
They would have made
And
less if they would have did it that way, though.
that's what they wanted to do. And look, what was missing from that movie was a few things. First thing is that it was the same movie.
A
Second thing is
heart.
the look. Well, the heart came from the way that it was animated. Since they were animated, they can make facial expressions, and animals don't do that. And in this movie, they were all realistic animals, so you didn't have that emotion in their face. You did have the dialogue, but the dialogue did not match the expressions of the characters. So it was like you were watching
Not
bad
at all.
CGI actors. You know what I mean? Like you were watching bad CGI actors the whole
It's
time. You know
because
what I mean?
they wanted them to look like real animals, and real animals don't emote.
Obviously, right? Yeah,
So it's
obviously,
like
like you know what I mean?
it
Like
doesn't
that's
line like it doesn't look right because we hear
yeah.
them emoting, but they don't look like they're emoting. And it's like, okay, this looks like a lion. This looks like a lion. Great. Good for you. It doesn't work because this is like it's lions doing Shakespeare. It just doesn't work. And Lion King is a
Yes,
weird movie too.
exactly.
Not only that, like Lion King is like also one of Disney's weirdest movies, and the reason is because it's one of their more original stories, kind of, even though it's like based off and like a lot of it's taken from like a lot of other things, like in literature and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
like it's a weird kind of original story, and it animated like it didn't need get this it I
I lost you, Shannon. I can't hear you.
Chris, you there? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Oh yeah, the glitch there for a second. But yeah, it's
Okay.
like written down somewhere that like the Lion King does take place in a certain year. Not like it matters. I think it takes place in like the
Mhm.
1800s, like in
Okay.
Africa. Not like it
Okay.
matters, but it's
Hmm.
like it's a timeless story, and like the way it was made, it's just that movie. It's
It's
just that.
Hamlet. It's
And a remake,
Hamlet.
yeah, it's Hamlet mixed with like Moses.
Sure. Yeah. It's just that, and I think that's why when they got that lawsuit from that, I don't know whether it was Chinese or Japanese animated movie
Oh,
or
yeah,
TV show.
Kimba, yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
That one, like that's why they. I mean, I don't know. I think they won that suit, or that suit was just like dropped because of that. Like they're like, well, we're actually taking from these more original materials, and like if we would do that, then you guys are doing the same thing. Type shit. Anyway, we're getting off subject. We're here to talk about Disney. I mean, I'm getting off of it. I'm probably
Yeah.
veering you off the
Well, get this.
subject.
We are talking about Disney, but like, okay, so maybe let's see what are they saying here? So live action is just cast Nani. Fans online are calling out the decision for colorism, the upcoming film and the latest of Disney's live action updates. This time bringing to life their Hawaii set 2002 film Lilo and Stitch, which follows an outcast young girl named Lilo who befriends a chaotic blue alien. One of the major characters in the film is Lilo's older sister Nani, who has become her guardian after the death of their parents. Recently, it was announced that Sydney Elizabeth Agudong had been cast as Nani in Lilo and Stitch. In the wake of the decision, many fans took to social media. Many fans, I love that, but many fans. Get this, guys. I assure you, I stand by this. This may sound like a hyperbolic statement. True fans, like the real consumers, like Disney fans, and like people that like really enjoy like movies and stuff like that, really don't care.
Also, the other thing is you're reading from Screen Rant, and I don't know how much of a reputable source that
Oh,
is.
one I picked them specifically for a reason because I just wanted to kind of just share what the issue was. I wasn't even sure if I was even going to read this article necessarily, but it's guys, this is not. I'm telling you right now, the real people that will. But get this, the kids. I feel like I'm part of the kid. I'm a consumer first. I was literally talking to my brother about this the other day because we were discussing something about an artist and something that had happened, and I was like, "Yo, it's not cool." And I was like, "Yo, lately, especially with like the YouTube stuff, with like trying to do, keep, the YouTube channel up and then also with like personal like creative projects and stuff like that, considering it's like it's all entertainment, right? You do, I think, guys, get this. sorry, it is a business. You do have to take those certain that you do have to sell a product, and you do have to think about like people that are going to buy it and like you want them to buy. But at the same time, you can also keep your integrity intact. And to be quite honest, like people for the most part, like they're going, especially if they're already like buying your stuff, they will buy it anyway, even if it looks like it'll be bad. Get this, they'll buy it and then complain about it, but they'll still buy it, and like that relationship, they'll come back. But I think lately with entertainment, like studios, whatever, they are ruining that relationship between the customer and the, because it was always like a thing. It was always a 50-50 with anything. This could be music, guys. This could be a TV show. This could be a movie. It's 50-50. You may like it. You may not. Sometimes you actually could, back in the day, you could get your money back. I heard some people say like, yo, if you go to like a ticket booth, like a box office, and say you hated the movie, that you could get a refund. I don't know how true that is.
You could.
You could. Okay. So yeah.
I think
So
you
that's
still. I
true.
think you still can.
You still
It
can. Okay.
depends. I don't
I
know
didn't know. I
though.
don't know if
I've
they
never
still did
tried
it or
that.
not. But yeah. So, but get this, people will still come back. A great example of this, I hate to do it, Star Wars. Star Wars is like the biggest franchise, or was the biggest franchise of all time. Ever since the first one came out. And ever since the first one came out, there were quite a few movies. We'll just go with like the first like 6, just in general, right? Sometimes people really liked them. For the most part, I think for the most part, people were like pumped. There were other times where people were like, talking about like Return of the Jedi or like Episode 1. Like people weren't always like jazzed about it, you know? But they
No,
went back
I would.
next time.
I would say people were like I don't know if you're saying it in the light of
I
when
mean,
they would
happy
announce
with
these
the
projects.
results, like excited, like get this.
Oh,
People,
okay.
that's what I'm saying. People will buy, then they'll complain. It may not always be cool, but if they love it enough, they'll come back.
Hmm.
Think about it. A lot of people weren't too crazy about Return of the Jedi. But then, yeah, it was like 20, 30 years. But then when Episode 1 came out, people were so jazzed, and yeah, they paid. And guess what? They were pissed off about that. But then when Attack of the Clones came out, what did they do? They came back, and so on and so forth. Up
Because they were hoping
until,
that they would get the they were hoping that they would get the series right. Like, and the thing is the thing with Star Wars Episode One was it was a return of Star Wars, and prior to that, they were making a lot of Star Wars ripoffs like Wing Commander and shit like that, and like Space Raiders. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these movies because people wanted that Star Wars, but you know George Lucas owned that property and he was working on that movie, and that's why the anticipation was so high. And when that first one came out, there was a lot of denial from the fans at first. Like they're like, "Oh, it's great. Like the pod racing scene is so amazing and all this." And then years coming, like around after the second one, that's when people started bitching. And then like the third one, people were still watching that shit because they were just hoping that it would come around. Like this is just me talking like disconnected from what I really feel about the prequels, but this is kind of like how it worked out. And you are right; it's because of the IP. It's the it's the comfortability that it gives these people who grew up with Star Wars, or at least like it grew up in it with a way like whether the movie came out while they were alive or not, it gives them the sense of what
I
that
think
was in the beginning.
nostalgia plays a part sometimes. Like I think,
It's
I think because like
With
nowadays,
Star Wars, it's all the time because that's what it is. When you think of Star Wars, you think of those original. At least us, like in our age, we think of those original three. But also, we grew up with the prequels. Like I love the third one, and I
yeah,
like the
yo,
other two.
the
I don't
third
mind
one,
them.
I always say, I'm like, yo, like
There
say
are
what you want.
problems. There are problems with all of these movies, but they're
George
still.
Lucas sucks at writing dialogue. That's his problem. But other than that, the story and the scenes, the effects, it's the characters. Again, like he's good at like right. Like I wish I could read the outline and not hear like Hayden Christensen like perform anything George Lucas wrote ever. But like it's good
I
because the
really agree
story
with
is
you.
good.
Yeah,
Huh?
like I agree with you. Like the dialogue is terrible, but like
Yeah, the
sometimes like
dialogue is shit.
the situations that happen are fucking awesome. Like let's say I can't say a lot of nice things about episode one because that one's kind of boring for me. But I like episode two when they're in the Coliseum. I love episode three because of the fight with Dooku. Like just the shit that's happening around it is awesome. But yes, the dialogue and sometimes how things end up is kind of weird. Like, oh
Yeah,
really? Like we're
the
just gonna go right there?
story itself, like those first like six, like that whole like boom, it's a great story. They all go together well. It's engaging, it's compelling. Like it's like that's why I was like, yo, I don't think nostalgia, especially when we start talking about like, like these IPs and remakes and stuff, people are always like, oh, it's your nostalgia. Sometimes yes, and it depends on what argument I would say someone's making for something. But
Mhm.
especially when we're like, to get a little more back on the subject, like the Disney remakes, I'm telling you, it makes me cringe. And again, you are right. It's not going to replace the Jones, because get this, people go see these movies. Disney gets all the money they want. People say it sucks and no one ever watches them again, and they get forgotten about until the next one they announce.
Mhm.
It's going to be the same thing. Little Mermaid, get this. I think the Little Mermaid will make bank that first weekend, and then I think it's going to like steep off. Because honestly, I would say the second weekend, really, I would say people should wait till the second weekend, because word of mouth is a thing, guys.
It really depends on whether the movie's good or not, and that's all that
I
matters.
do.
You
I
know,
think that
that's
it's
all.
already we are in the day and age where we have the internet and promos and stuff. Now, we've always had promos and stuff for movies, like especially like if you were really into movies, even in like the 80s and stuff, people were talking, zines and stuff like that, like, people
Movie.
getting the scoop on what's going on in studios. So people talk, but now we're in the information age. But not only
Mhm.
that, the system has changed, the culture has changed. We are in a artistic rut. However, I do think we're climbing out of it. I think a renaissance is coming.
I I absolutely I kind of disagree with that because it's not only like when you talk about the information age and the internet, a lot of the information as well that's given to you is also misinformation. So that also has to be put into the light as
I
well.
just meant like we're more connected, so like people learn,
not
like
not
we
only not
get
only that, like
information faster.
when it comes to like an artistic drought, I really disagree with that as well because there's still really good movies and like animated movies. They're still coming out. You know what I
I
mean?
mean,
They're
like
not.
majority. Like I feel like remember when we did that stream a little while ago, and it was Quentin Tarantino, and he was like, and why I really like that Quentin Tarantino podcast was because he even said, he was like, I'm not gonna like just drag on people's movies or anything, but he was like, let's
Mhm.
keep it a buck. He was like, we're living in a time right now. He's like, it's worse than the 80s. He's like, it's
He
like it's
called it he
bad.
called it the he called it the 80s part 2.
Yeah, it's
That's what he
he was
called
like,
it.
it's bad
He,
right now, but that
he was
means
comparing.
something's coming.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. Like studios, and he's only talking about like these huge, like these big corporate, like these big movie studios,
I agree.
like
And get this corporate stuff, you know what you're gonna get, but like there have been times where corporate stuff, and yes, now from this, some of this may be nostalgia for me, guys, but corporate stuff like in the 90s, oh my god. But these the commercialism was, honestly, it was disgusting. But these were for like good movies, not all the time. Like, if do you remember when good example of not all the time. You remember when Godzilla 99 came out, or 98, whatever that was?
yeah, yeah, I
Remember how
do.
huge that was that everyone hated
Yeah,
it?
it was really big. It
But
was
yeah,
it was
but
getting
like,
a lot of hype. Yeah,
but there are other
all the
movies.
merchandises. You remember that
Yeah, it
ugly
was
ass cup?
insane.
You remember that ugly ass Godzilla cup? Like I don't know who sold it, but it was like really ugly
Pizza Hut
cup.
or Taco Bell. I
Maybe
forget, but
Taco Bell.
there
I
was a
forget.
restaurant. There
Yeah,
was a restaurant that I remember had a tie-in, because it was like
it's like a
in,
whole like that Wild Wild West, like a whole bunch of shit that like
yeah,
people
Wild
would
Wild
sell into
West.
all these movies.
I
Inspector
got
Gadget. You remember Inspector Gadget? The fucking kid,
Yeah,
the
the
Matthew Gadget
McDonald's
movie.
tie-in for Inspector
Yeah.
Gadget was brilliant. I had Wild Wild West Burger King toys. And get this, I loved Wild Wild West when I was a kid, and get this, I still love Wild Wild West. It is a atrocious abomination of
Oh
a
yeah.
film,
Oh
but
yeah.
I love it. And get it, that's where nostalgia comes in. I think if people can get out of there, and not everybody, because not everyone's like really into movies and stuff like that. And get this, guys, if you enjoy it, it's done its job.
Hmm.
I'm talking about objective good. And then get this, when it comes to remakes, you have to justify a remake. I
I
don't
wanna,
care.
I wanna, I wanna, I wanna level with you with something that I do understand. Like, all right, so when it's really having to do with behind the scenes, and I mean, obviously, like what happens behind the scenes affects what happens to the final product. But when you were talking about this article and you were talking about an actress playing in it, and she wasn't full blooded, and people were still upset about it, like that's problematic for me in a sense because like you're really taking away from this person who is part of that culture. Like you're just saying, oh, because she isn't full of that she should be taken away from that. But
Not
it's
even
something
that.
that she was raised
She's
with.
an actress. Now I get, like, honestly, if
Yeah.
I, again, gun to my head, I had to remake Lilo and Stitch, yeah, I would get Hawaiians, like people who, but yeah, she lives there. She's a quarter, whatever. Yeah, fine, great. You can act. You'll work for how much? Excellent. Yeah, bring her on, guys. Like it's not. And I know what people are gonna say. Well, Shannon, you were all mad about the Little Mermaid. Get this, guys. This is a little different because it's she's Hawaiian. She's Hawaiian. And get this. If you look at this girl, I'm telling you right now, she go out in the sun, she get a tan, she'll look like Nani. Boom.
And really, like Shannon, when you talk about Little Mermaid, like I looked at the trailer and it looks fine, I guess. Like the girl can really sing. You know what I mean? Like I have no
Oh,
problem with the
no,
movie so
yes,
far.
yes, the girl can sing, and I'm sure she probably can act fine too. I saw the trailer and it made me cringe because it was like every other Disney remake trailer was like, huh, member berries. Just is it, hey, member, remember this, remember
That's
King
literally
Triton,
that's every
remember
that is
this,
every
like
that is every live action Disney movie that came out.
now
That's what they're
Javier
saying.
Bardem playing King Triton. I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of cool.
That's awesome. And when you brought up
That
David
is
Diggs, that made me more excited too.
a little cringy too. I was telling my wife, I was like, yo, like I like him. I was like, she doesn't know who he is. I was like, yo, he's awesome. But I was like,
He's awesome.
ill.
You ever
Like
you ever
I
heard
just
you ever heard
about
his
it.
music? You ever heard his music?
No.
He's in a
I know he
rap
was
group
in
called he's
Hamilton, but like I
well
don't
no
I've
no
never
he's in a rap group. He has a rap group called Clipping and it's fucking amazing. I mean I don't know, I can't really recommend that music to just anybody. It's kind of like industrial hip hop. It's crazy as shit. It sounds so fucking good. And he's an amazing fucking rapper. Like he has so much lyrical ability. He can rap fast as fuck. He can switch up his flows like nothing. He's an immaculate rapper. So, I just like David Diggs a lot. So when I heard that he was in it, I'm like, oh man, I want and Blind Spotting. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. That movie
No,
absolutely
I
incredible.
remember saw a thing about it. I was like, yo, I really want to see this.
It's a great
And
movie.
it honestly, one of the reasons I wanted to see it was just because he was in it.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
But yeah, I still, it just look like, I showed my wife the trailer and she was like looking like she saw Sebastian and Scuttle, and she was like, and I was like, yeah, you see, I was like, what do they look like? She's like, it looks like a bird and a crab. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't work in live
It doesn't
action.
look aesthetically pleasing. It doesn't look like
It
something you
it
want to look at for 2 hours.
Did you see Flounder?
Yeah.
Dude, he
Um,
looks like a dead-eyed fish.
And I guess like we can put it in a perspective of how Avatar looks like. Avatar is beautiful. They make the underwater scenes look very colorful, and it looks really genuine as well. Like it's a lot of it is CGI. Like it's not even fucking real. And then you put that against Little Mermaid, I think that's a 6 month different release, and it pales in comparison if you watch it. I would
It not
imagine, but
only
it
that, but,
depends.
like, it looks really dark, and I get, like, because a lot of stuff we saw was underwater, and there are
Yeah,
times where, like, they release trailers and effects aren't done yet, but I heard a rumor that apparently big studios, Disney, and get this, think about that. I want you to think of Marvel when I tell you this. Apparently, they tell the effects houses, which are already, I don't know if you know about the drama with effects houses, but, like, they get paid. Oh, the drama. They need prayer, guys. Pray for VFX workers. But apparently they get told to do everything dark because that way you can't see how crappy the effects are, so that way it's cheaper and you can get it out faster.
Yeah.
Now, another argument I've heard is like, oh, well, it's underwater. It's supposed to be live action, looks real. Okay, that's cool. Thus, another reason why the story works better in animation. It works better animated. It will not translate well.
It makes
There's
it
so
feel
many
redundant.
different.
It makes it feel like all they're selling is the name, and pretty much they're
That's
bringing everybody
exactly
into.
all they're selling,
Yeah, that's all it is.
and the
And they're doing a worldwide release as well. So there's different release dates for every single other market. And I think that's what they're going for, is to make their money back. But the thing is too, it depends on the budget. Like if this is a $200 million movie, then all that CGI has to be good, put to good, to be not put to waste, because that's
I
most of the fucking
predict
movie.
it will. I predict it will do all right the first weekend, but then it will fall off. I also predict it will bomb in China.
I predict that it will do well. That's what I think. It will do well, not only in
Yeah,
the
because
first
of that
week but
first
in the second
weekend,
week.
it'll. I think
It
it's gonna
really
do.
can you do me a favor? Can you go possibly to let's see, go to I am. It's hard to tell because the release date. The release date. I think it's coming out next month. So I
It's
want to see who else
May. It's May 23rd or something.
is it. Let's see if it's possible for me to check up like what movies it's going to be competing against. Like what movies are going to come out in May, and I guess we could search Wikipedia and check it out. And depending on who
I
they're count,
doubt. I doubt anything. Like again, I'll give it this, and it makes me furious. The movie's gonna make some money. Like
it's going to make a lot of money, Shannon.
nothing's gonna compete with it. It's
Not
gonna.
only it's gonna make a lot of money, Shannon, because Disney's what do you call it? Fuck, I'm drawing a blank. Disney's promotion team, like promotional team, they're one of the greatest in the fucking world. Like
Well,
they're gonna put it in the people's heads to
they've
watch
done
the
the
movie.
fan baiting already. They've done the fan baiting. Like them casting that girl was purely for promotion. Here's how
Yeah.
they're gonna get their money. Movie reviewers like you and angry YouTubers are gonna pay to go see
Mm,
it so that they can do their job, right? Then
yeah.
other people are just honestly just gonna go because they're gonna go with their kids. You know, the kids don't care. They're just like, oh, princess. Get this, those kids. I don't care. Remember all those cringy fake videos we saw, like black kids being like, she looks like me. BS. No, kids are gonna go see it because
Yeah.
they're like, oh, Ariel. They don't care how she looks. They're just like, oh, Little Mermaid. Do 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 do. Yeah, they're sold. So people are gonna take their kids. Then you're gonna have just sadly, yeah, my people, black people. A lot of them are gonna go see it because they're gullible like that, and Disney's counting on that.
it's not gonna be like Black Panther. You know what I mean? Because the thing
No,
with
it's not gonna
Black
be like
Panther,
It's not gonna be like
like
Black
what?
Panther, but that will
Yeah,
be a factor. And then the last
sure.
category is white liberals who are gonna go just so they can say that they saw it, and then they're gonna be like, actually, I actually liked it better.
That's gonna be really sad. Those are gonna be a set of sad people because no one's gonna give a shit. Like
No,
I
but
swear to God, that is
that
gonna
is
be
gonna
the
be a
dumbest
piece
thing.
of the money that Disney gets, and that makes up. I think I've covered every major. I mean, it's mostly gonna be families. You know, what I'm telling you, it's mostly gonna be families.
Ooh,
Just
guess
people
who?
taking their
Get,
kids.
this is who Little Mermaid is gonna go against. So Fast and Furious 10 is gonna be out a week before, so it's gonna be in competition with Fast
Hmm,
and Furious. There's gonna
okay.
be yeah, and the
Mate.
Machine. You know that comedian Brooke Kirshner, I think his name is the Machine, the
Oh,
guy
the
that
Russian thing.
that's coming out the
Yeah.
same. That's coming out the same week as Little Mermaid.
I don't think it's
And
gonna
then
do
what's
good.
gonna? Oh shit, dude! Spider Verse is coming out a week later. Get the fuck out of here. Little Mermaid's gonna
Oh,
make a little bit of money. It's
yeah.
gonna
I
make a.
see. Oh
Oh
my
man,
god, get this. Now, kids, I did not know that Spider-Verse was coming out the next week.
that's crazy.
I was saying it was the numbers were going to go down just because yeah, people are going to go see it. Like the people that want to go see it are going to go see it that week, and then no one's going to care. It like just like every other Disney remake, people are going to forget
Don't
about it.
don't take out the account that they're probably not looking to stay in the box office. They're just looking for like longevity. That's what I
No,
think
they
they're
want
gonna
to
look
get
for.
that quick bread, and then they're going to put it on Disney Plus. Yeah, I know.
Well, not that they're going to take it out and put it on Disney Plus. I think they're going to want a sustainable run where they're going to keep it in 2,000 theaters, right? and they're going to keep it there, and it's going to consistently keep making money because what they're selling towards to is children. They're not looking for those people that are like, oh, I grew up with Little Mermaid. They're looking for those parents that are looking to shut their kids the fuck up
I'm
and
telling you
take
right
them to
now,
see Little
they're looking
Mermaid.
for the people that said I grew up with Little Mermaid and social justice
No,
warriors. That's who
not
they're
just
that
that. Look,
I'm telling you.
Shannon, ever since I've been a boy, I've understood that it's not always the fan base of the people that love the products, it's the children as well. And it's also the scenario. Like, because I went to
No,
see
they're
Jurassic.
counting
I
on
went,
the
I went,
kids, but they're counting
yeah.
on the people that they're counting on, like people like us that grew up with it
eh,
to take our kids.
look who the kids depend on. It's the adults that are going to take them to this stupid fucking movie to watch it, and the parents aren't going to give a shit what it is, just as long as it's not inappropriate and it's like Little Mermaid. So that's what they're banking on. They're not banking on the people that are fans of the original product. Like, yes, they want to do that, but they also, like, pretty much is always the children. Like, it's planting that seed, like they planted us with all the other movies that came out before these live action remakes, and that's what they're going to do. So even though it's going to be in competition against Spider-Man and Fast and Furious, I think what they're looking for is longevity, and people are going to stop giving a shit about Fast and Furious for a while, like at least within like 4 weeks, and then Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the fans are going to like it, and they're going to watch it, and then that's going to go away. What they're looking for with Little Mermaid is to stay in the theater, and people are going to consistently keep watching it. And I think that's what they're going for. They don't care about anything else, really. They're also going against Transformers, but really those movies have been going downhill like since the fourth one, I think.
I was gonna say that about Fast and Furious. I was gonna say, like, I think
People
Fast
still
and
love
Furious
Fast and
might
Furious.
do all right, but
They were at their peak when it came to people giving a shit when Paul Walker passed away with Furious 7, but people have still been consistently watching them still after that. Like the eighth one made over $1 billion, the ninth one as well, and then they did the Hobbs and Shaw. Like these movies are still selling pretty consistently, and I think they're only gonna stop uh, because everyone is getting older, but that's besides the point. Like people are gonna watch it, but they're looking for that week, and then to make gangbusters. And the Fast and Furious, they understand the market of longevity because people love cars. Like it's just different aspects to it. Like what it is. Fast and Furious is not that deep of a thinker. People go in to escape reality. They don't give a shit that a car is like hanging by a rope and going over a bridge. You know what I mean? Like that motherfucker's gonna die, but they don't look for real reality, and neither does Little Mermaid. Like everyone has a different like outlook into the market, and they're all looking for longevity. But it depends on whether it's gonna work or not. And we know very little about Little Mermaid in a sense because they haven't shown a lot.
oh
And
well, you
until
know
they
what they
do,
did just announce?
what they do?
The runtime.
Oh, how long is it? Let's see. I'm gonna actually look it up now.
No, 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 no. Guess. I know it. Guess.
Uh, um, 2.5 hours.
Oh no, that would be drawing close, very, very close. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes. It is the longest Disney remake to date
I mean,
at
that's like
two
15 minutes
hours
left.
and
I mean,
15
15 minutes
minutes.
left.
So they
Hey,
took originally a 90-minute movie, which, and get this, I would expect them to be a little longer. Like if I was going to do a live action remake of any of these, like if I had to, it would be a little longer. And you do expect them to add some things. It's like, okay, you're remaking it. So it's like, and that's another thing, guys. Like when I'm saying stuff like Ariel doesn't look like Ariel and they're changing the lyrics to songs, bleh, there obviously are going to be changes and updates and stuff like that. The
yeah,
things that they're changing, the things that they're updating, one, it's it's uncalled for, and the reasonings that they're giving are weak. And then on top of that, they're not genuine in why they're doing it for the reasons that they're saying they're doing it. And just for honestly honor and integrity, yeah, that's why this kind of stuff like grinds my gears. Honor and integrity. It really is not the end of the world. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna pay to see The Little Mermaid. I might probably eventually watch it, like when it's on like Disney Plus or something, just to say I watched it, just to see what's up. Because I did end up watching Aladdin, which I had said like, yo, I'm not watching it, and I'm not gonna say I was pleasantly surprised, but it wasn't what I was expecting, while at the same time being exactly what I was expecting. Um, most of the
So
Disney remakes I have not seen.
yeah, same here. I've never seen Little Mermaid or Little Mermaid. Obviously, I've never seen Beauty and the Beast.
You don't need to see them. That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't really give a shit. I like the. I saw a little bit of Aladdin, and I was like, and I saw a little bit of Dumbo, and I thought that shit was horrible. I did not
Oh,
like that one.
jeez.
And Dumbo is one of my favorite movies ever. Like
Really?
I know, yes, and I know it's like kind of it's fucked up because there's a lot of shit like they're doing with black people and slave. Like they have this song. Um, and yeah, it's kind of fucked up. But like, besides all that, this is one of my favorite like Disney movies, like along with Pinocchio. Like that one and Pinocchio are like my favorite. And look at what they did with Pinocchio. That movie fucking blew. Like it's not even that it blew, like that it sucked. It's just like um, they got the Pinocchio character like they made him a little bit too innocent, and there was not a lot of conflict in the
Yeah,
movie.
I heard that people were like, "Yo, they basically erased the entire point of Pinocchio by making him
Yeah,
like
he's just
already
aloof.
good." And they're
Yeah,
like, "Yo,
he's
why did
ignorant.
get that?" They're like, "Yo, Jiminy Cricket has no purpose, because like they're like the whole point of the Pinocchio story." And get this, this is any version of Pinocchio. The whole point of the story is gone because they made him a. Which is I didn't I've said that before. I'm like, yo, modern movies, especially with like the Disney stuff and like Marvel, it's like character they they're like teaching people terrible lessons. It's like the worst, like all the main characters and all the people that get rewarded in modern movies. Like I'm talking like classic, fantastical, swashbuckling, like hero-y stuff. Like like the Disney stuff. Marvel, everything
Mm-hmm.
included.
Mm-hmm.
The characters are unlikable and mean and like bad, and it's always like, oh, it's everything else. You're fine just the way you are. It's everyone else that needs to get with it, and you need to believe in yourself. I'm not saying that couldn't always be a good
Can you
story
set
or
some examples?
arc, but
Can you set some examples of like specific movies that are like this? Because I would like to have a better idea so we can
the
have a further
Mulan, the
discussion.
Mulan, the Mulan remake,
And I wish I've
the
saw that.
Mulan
I wish
remake.
I've seen that movie because I have not fucking seen that movie.
Miss uh uh Captain Marvel,
I've seen Captain Marvel. Yes, I've seen, and that one is
which I
subpar. That is
actually
a pretty
turned off
subpar movie.
Captain Marvel halfway through, not because it was necessarily bad. I was just bored out of my mind. And again, I
What's
didn't like the
frustrating for
main
me
character.
with that movie what's frustrating for me with that movie is that Brie Larson is a good Captain Marvel. It's just like I don't know. It's like something about the script just keeps it in away from her to really shine
I
through that
can't
movie. Like they
stand
use a
Brie
lot of.
Larson.
I like Brie Larson. I think she's a great actress. I don't.
No,
I think
she's a
you
good
should watch a movie
actress.
called.
She's a terrible
Should,
person.
oh, I don't know. Like I know she's done things. Like she's said things that have like kind of like rubbed people the wrong way. But I think
Yeah,
like
she's
besides all
cringy.
that, besides all that, I don't think she's a bad person. Like at the most, she's probably misinformed. But I wouldn't say that because I don't really have an
She's
opinion about the shit she
Hollywood,
says.
She's Hollywood.
I
So
mean, yeah,
I guess.
all those fucking people are. Even the people that the movies that you like, they're probably way more Hollywood than she is. But like that movie is Captain Marvel is slightly frustrating because I think it just like the Pinocchio movie that came out with Tom Hanks is like they have this character that's great and they like set them aside to like do these really stupid like scenes like she's a woman. It's like yeah, I fucking know that. Like why don't you just make her do cool shit? And then they do, and then like it nothing happens for another you
It's
know
like on not
it's
it's
a
not
Marvel
earned. Like
movie. It's a
it's
Marvel
like
movie, so they have to
it's
put
just like and then this and then this.
it's a Marvel movie, so they have to put a lot of humor and stuff into it to like keep people interested, and also the nostalgia, the '90s nostalgia that was in it. It was like, all right, I get it. What the fuck? Like All right, so the Stan Lee cameo was kind of cool because he was reading Mallrats script. I thought that was nice. I was like, oh, nice, because I'm a Kevin Smith fan, so it was nice. But at the
Yeah,
same
like
time, I
little
do
stuff
see that as
yeah,
just,
that's all that
I
stuff's
do see
cute,
that as
but
bartering. I do see that as bartering. So like, it did get in the way with the story. They did an interesting thing with the scrolls, you know. But there was that fucking scene where she was with Jude Law and they're about to fight, and then that stupid Gwen Stefani song plays. I'm just a girl. I'm like, shut the fuck up. That is so lame.
well, that's
Like
that's the Marvel. It's the
it ruined
MCU.
everything.
Now it's
It ruined the scene for me because it's like, just treat her seriously. Don't, oh, I get it, she's a girl. Oh my fucking god, get over it. Like she's awesome. She's fucking Captain Marvel. She's so powerful. She's like one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel universe. Like, can you
even
just
though
treat
we
her
waited until the end
seriously?
to introduce her. She's better
I
than
don't know.
everyone that you've grown to love. She's better than all of them,
Yeah.
and
And then
she can get this. She won't let you forget it.
in Endgame, they brought her in, and then she's like, "Yeah, I got like other planets to save because I'm like so awesome." But it's like, that's not exactly what she said. But it's just
Oh,
sort of like
Captain Marvel.
they wrote her in to show up, and then they didn't do anything with her, and that was really frustrating. You know, and if you want to actually add diversity into a Marvel movie, you got to really write these characters and have them involved. You know what I mean? Like, don't be like, oh, I got more important shit to do. But you see, we got a woman in the Marvel. It's like, who gives a fuck? Like, incorporate them really well into your script, into your universe, and then maybe I'll take you seriously. But other than that, I don't give a fuck. Like, that's. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to curse too much.
Oh,
I
no,
know.
no, it's good. Yeah, so
Yeah,
you've been cursing a lot.
yeah. I can't. I can't control my
Hey,
cursing plan.
man, we're talking, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's movies. Yeah, movies. I don't know. They're in a. They say, hey, if you want something done right, do it yourself. I guess that's the because a lot of people are like, oh, we'll make your own movie. Trying.
It's pretty difficult, but at the same time, you do need to put into account that these are corporations trying to fill a quota, and that's what they're doing. And sometimes you'll have there are creative people involved with these movies
I
all
feel
the
like that
time,
you
and
can
these
fill a quota while still making a quality. Like that's, I would like to think that's what I would do. I feel like it makes a job harder, but it also challenges you because it's like,
Mhm.
okay, we gotta make this bread, y'all. We gotta satisfy this person, and this person. How can we make bread and satisfy this, and that person while at the same time maintaining our creative integrity? That challenges you, that pushes you. And honestly, I've been in situations where that was the case, like working on creative things.
Mhm.
Like I remember working on this executive producing this album a few years ago with a bunch of other people, and it was very much like that. And there was never, I mean, sometimes depending on who you're working with and what the gig is, that you're always going to have like rules and certain things that kind of bind you, but again, that challenges your imagination, and then you'll think of stuff that you never would have thought of on your own if you had no restrictions or you didn't have to take those things in consideration.
I want to
uh
bring up a great example of a movie that was like, it's my first 10 out of 10 in my channel. I don't know if you've seen it yet, and it's my most successful one too. I just reviewed Beau is Afraid, and that movie
oh,
felt like,
me and Christina are gonna go see it Sunday at IMAX. That's the
ooh,
plan.
ooh, it's a 3 hour movie. I hope you like it
Yeah,
because it's
it's already asked her. I really like him. My Christina, my wife really likes him too. She loves Midsummer. Like she loves it.
okay.
So I'm excited. And Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix, he's incredible in it,
Of
and
course he
oh
is.
my god, it's a 10 out of 10 for me, man. Like, it's exactly what I was writing when I was doing Stage Fright, when I was writing that movie. And not that I'm gonna rip that script apart, but there is an absurdism to it, and like, it's absurd humor mixed with horror. It's not a it's not a horror comedy. It is a black comedy, like that's how you describe it, but it's Ari Aster, so like you would expect it to go where it goes, but at the same time, it like blends that humor along with the
Hey,
fucked up shit that he does
I
really
like
well.
that. I like
Yeah.
horror mixed with laughs. I think horror and comedy go very, very well together. They
One of the
complement
critic
each other.
one of the criticisms that I have been listening to that I can't fight against is that this movie is not too complicated, and it. Some people say that it has no justice to be as long as it is because of how much is going on. You know, like it's that's the main problem to some people is that it's just an hour too long. But for me, I loved every fucking minute of it.
Well, a
Like I just could
movie
not get enough of it.
is supposed to be it's a story which is something I've been thinking more and more and more about. And it's like it's a story with pictures. Like you do need to like especially like if you're writing a script or whatever, you need to know like what's going on and but like the reason why you do that is so that way you can know like okay, this is what I know, this is what I need to get across. How am I going to use sounds and pictures to do that?
That's kind of
I
that's
could
kind
see a
of
movie being too long. Sometimes a movie is too long, you can tell. However, just from
this
the
one's not one of
I
them.
don't really know anything about the movie, to be quite honest.
This one's not one of them. Like he uses these techniques with the he does this camera work in one scene where Bo's character goes outside of his domain and they have this like pulley that's right behind Joaquin Phoenix and it's following him from when he's looking to one side of the street and the other and it just looks so
Yeah,
fucking
don't
amazing.
tell me, don't
No, no, I'm not. That's not a spoiler. That's just like it's a technique that he uses in the film, and I'm not going to tell you anything more. It's just like he has really clever scenes in this movie, and the writing. Oh my fucking god! I just love this movie. Like I'm still thinking about it. I saw it on Saturday. Yo, Shannon, let me tell you something that kind of fucking grinded my gears. So, uh, I went to New York to see it, and then I kind of looked on my Instagram and saw that he was in L.A. presenting the movie, and Joaquin Phoenix showed up, and Ari Aster was on acid. Joaquin came up, he's like, "I got good news, I got bad news. Good news is Ari's here with this other guy, but the bad news is that they took acid, so you're probably not going to get your question anyway." He was in L.A., and I was like, "Oh, that sucks. He should have been in fucking New York because he's from here, and it would have just been nice." So that happens, and I'm not too bummed about it. I'm like, all right, fine. But then Monday comes on, and he's in the same theater that I was. Like Ari shows up to the theater on Monday, and then not only that, he
Oh,
yes, but not only that, Shannon, he's with Martin Scorsese. Martin Scorsese freaking presents the movie, and then he
Scorsese,
brings
yo,
up
I'm so happy for him, and he really is like that's what I'm saying. Like a renaissance has come, like the new guys like him.
Robert
Who else?
Eggers, and these are all people from A24, like Robert Eggers. You got Jordan Peele. You got Bong Joon Ho. You got
Yeah, honestly, I would put Edgar Wright is
Edgar
still
Wright.
like
Absolutely, Edgar Wright is one of the greatest filmmakers
he's
I've
whatever
ever
he's
fucking
gonna
seen.
do next. Like I know his last movie, a lot of people are like, meh.
Last
I
Night in
thought it was
Soho.
fantastic. I
Me
think
too.
he's gonna be like, and when I say this, I'll explain it. I was gonna say he's gonna be kind of like Stanley Kubrick, where it's like he's just good. I think he's just gonna make different kind of movies. Like he's just gonna make every single kind of movie, and they're all just gonna be good. And like you're gonna be able to tell that he made it, but they're like kind of like how Stanley Kubrick like it'd be like, oh,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
kind of director is Stanley Kubrick? And be like, he just made movies. He's done comedies, he's done fantasies, he's done this, he's done that.
he's done war
Like,
films. He's done heist films. He's done all types of shit, and it's
yeah.
always
So
different.
it's and I
He
think
challenges himself, and not only that, he goes to scale. Like when he did Doctor Strangelove, you know, he took it in from this adaptation and then put a spin to it. Then when he did Barry Lyndon, he decided to shoot that movie and also shoot with natural lighting because there
yeah,
was
but I
no.
think Edgar Wright is kind of like that too. Like I think like he obviously has a particular style. Like his movies are kind of similar, but
he's
he
definitely a genre director and he's a master at choreography when it comes to what he does, like with
yes,
camera work. Like he's incredible when it comes to that. Like the
and
camera
editing.
itself, the camera itself is the star because it's just moving in a way that's like a fucking moving motion comic, but at the same time it's a movie. So it's like he knows that the audience is engaged because the camera is as well. Like with every single one of his movies, from Shaun of the Dead to Last Night in Soho, but just more with with the most with Baby Driver, like I think.
Yes, Baby Driver. I think Baby Driver so far is his masterpiece.
That's my least favorite movie of his, but I still do really like that movie.
I
That's my
think
least
it's
favorite
his
movie of his.
it's not my favorite my favorite. Honestly, it might sound corny. It might be Shaun of the Dead.
That's not corny
Um
because that's mine.
Oh, okay. As I say,
Yeah,
it's just so I like the whole trilogy, but like, oh, that is just dope. I mean, I like Scott Pilgrim. But get that Scott Pilgrim that's him doing an adaptation, like he did a book adaptation. There you
yeah,
go,
yeah, yeah.
and it was very he did it because I think didn't I borrow the books from you?
You probably did,
I think I borrowed
maybe.
the books from you back in high school, and I had already saw the movie, and then I read them, and I was like, oh well, damn. I was like, he nailed it, but it wasn't like in a corny way. It was
You want
like
to know
he
why?
did it,
You want to
but
know why? Because the spirit of those books are just like his movies, because that's how those books were. Like they were so playful, and they did a lot of like cutbacks, like flashbacks and flash forwards, and just really goofy shit with that book. So it's like Edgar Wright would look at that book and be like, I can totally do that. That's like my fucking signature.
I
I've
like
been doing
Edgar
that
Wright
since film school.
stuff because like his stuff is like honestly, it's edited like the way I think.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Like his movies, like
It's
I'll
just
like if I'm telling
awesomeness. Yeah.
someone a story, it's like that. It's like boom, 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 quiet,
Hmm.
quiet, quiet, banter, 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 boom, 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 and so yeah, but yeah, he's him. I think he's in there, but like people like that, and then there's more people coming. I saw this little movie the other day. It wasn't again amazing, but I liked it. It was called Rent a Pal.
Okay, I've never heard of that one.
It's like the IF. It was a IFC midnight Joan.
Okay.
Um, it was all right. It was all right. It was a little horror, thing. It takes place in the 90s. It's like about a videotape, you know, about a lonely man. And yeah, I liked it. And I was like, huh, like you can, and I'm telling you right now, it did not look expensive. And not in a bad way. Like it was just like, especially technology nowadays, it's like, hey, it's technically a period piece. Like I said, it takes place in the 90s. So that
Hmm.
that was probably where they spent most of their bread. But like my man's wrote it, directed it, and edited it. And
Hmm.
it was dope. I was like, yo, good for you, my G.
You don't know who another director that I really like is Damien Chazelle. Like he did La La Land. I haven't seen La La Land, but he did
I haven't seen it
Whiplash.
either.
He did Whiplash, which is one of my favorite movies. Like when it comes to like the writing and just the freneticness of it. I saw Babylon and I really liked that movie, even though it's gotten mostly bad reviews. Which
I have not seen any of these movies. I
great.
didn't that's why I kind of coughed. I know to my shame I have not seen Whiplash yet. It feels like yo, so a few years ago for the longest time I hadn't seen Training Day and I used to get embarrassed about telling people
Yeah.
that I hadn't seen it. And then I finally saw it, right? And
Hmm.
I remember it was it was Sean and Jay. I think Jay or Sean had it on DVD and they were like, "Yo, just watch it, man." And I sat down and watched it, and I was like, "Oh, oh, the wasted years.
have
Oh
you
no."
have you at least seen John Q? Because I love that movie.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I saw that when that came out. But yeah,
There's
I
plenty of
hadn't
those types
seen
of
Training
movies.
Day, so I feel the same way about Whiplash because all I
Everything's
hear
all
is
set.
like, "Oh, Whiplash! It's so amazing. It's so good."
It's pretty good, yeah.
Um,
It's a pretty good movie.
have not
But yeah,
seen it.
there's plenty of those filmmakers that are out there right now. People talk about film being dead or whatever, and I mean, like film is gonna like the cinematic experience for people are gonna change over time. Like things are gonna be different, and it's not because things were better back then. It's just that you're not back then anymore. You're right the fuck now. So you just have to take consideration, and the knowing that there are people that are younger than you that take in things different than you. So, you're not them. So you can stay with the old products that you like. It's because you were younger and you didn't have any concepts of the life that you live now that things hit you different. You know what I mean? And sometimes people, react to these type of things that are actually happening to them with rage. Like, this isn't what I want, and it's like, it's not about what you want because that thing was out of your control to begin with. It was a product that was made from the get go to sell to you, and you didn't like it because it was never made for you. So like it's just in that sense. And when we get back to the Disney stuff, um, and talk about the problems that people have there with the lack of diversity that's been happening over the years. Like I
Lack of
understand.
diver I think that is so please,
Well,
finish your point. Finish your point.
look, yeah, listen here. With the Lilo and Stitch movie back in 2002, the girl who played Lilo was white, and I understand that there's people, and I'm not here to say that I'm justifying. I'm just letting you know that I understand that there will be people that would watch that movie and be like, yes, they do bring in this culture into this movie, but the characters that are playing them aren't really that race. So like I understand that. Like I don't think the movie would be a whole lot better if they actually put like the actual races of people to play these roles, but it would definitely be a lot more, how
I
you
feel
say,
like it depends
genuine.
on what it is. Like
It would it would
most
be a
stuff,
it
it
would
doesn't matter,
it
but
would be a more genuine approach to do that, and I think that's fine. Like I'm fine with it, like as long as you give a poor product, and I understand that they do intend to do that because they're putting millions of dollars in these type of things, and I think it's a good move to put the writer of Moana to do the Lilo and Stitch stuff. Like, because I feel like there will be a difference. Like, that's what I want from a remake. Is like if you put in a different writer and this writer has had a good resume, um, like I think if you would put in like a different
that's the thing. These
perspective,
writers in these
if you
new
put in a
shows
different
don't.
perspective, well, if you put a different perspective into a movie that's already been made 20 years ago and you put in a different product, that's great. Like, I don't know what's wrong with that, but it's too early to judge for now because
There's
there's not a
nothing
lot
wrong
said
with
about the
it.
movie. Yeah,
Like
there's nothing wrong with it.
there's nothing wrong with it, but I think like again, a remake, any movie you make, you don't really need a justification. If it's a remake, I feel like you do. Remakes, like the best ones, it usually was like, hey, like something like there are remakes that people think of before they think of the original. Like they're usually relevant, it's usually needed, or it was like, hey, we missed something here. The stuff that's getting remade nowadays, and this goes beyond Disney. The stuff that's getting rebooted and remade, there's nothing else to say, and it doesn't relate to today. And maybe there are probably a few cases where it is, and they nail it, and it's okay. And then there are other times where it's like, yo, we do need maybe this to be revisited. This could be used to say something today, and then they mess it up. And it's like, if it's a remake, it has to be justified. There is
Yeah.
no reason for a majority. There are Disney remakes. Like I said, I would not have done Lion King, but if I was going to, if I was a corporate head, I'd be like, look, here's how we can maintain our integrity and get some change.
I don't
Nature
think they care.
video. Lion
I don't
King,
think
the
they.
nature video.
I
Boom.
don't think they care. They don't care about integrity. They care about returns. That's
I
all they
know
care
they
about.
don't, but I'm saying if I was in that
Like,
boardroom, I would try to be at least the voice of reason to at least be in the room and be like, hey, we should do that. I think Walt would like that if we had to. Because even Walt, I mean, he had a board of directors,
and then
but
Bob will tell you get the fuck out.
Bob can eat a gat.
He'd be like, "Oh, really? All right, get the fuck out." Like that's how he would. You'd be like, "All right, all right. Can anybody say anything else? You guys want to fucking give me a drawing of
Yeah,
a
yeah, man.
toy?"
Bob Iger, 2024.
Fuck around.
That's what he
Yeah,
wants, right? He's trying to like run for president, right?
are you serious?
That's why he originally, one, he was already going to leave Disney, but the reason why he bailed was because of COVID. And then obviously, like, the other guy was like a fall guy. And he's back now because COVID's over. and things were getting bad. But the things were getting bad not because of the other guy; it was because of things that he had already put in motion. But regardless, yeah, he had been said he wants to run for president.
That's
So
weird.
that was his whole. That's why he originally was going to leave in the first place, anyway.
You know
And
what?
that's
I
also
wasn't.
why he's going hard. That's why all the projects that he greenlit are so. Because get this, yeah, they're hiring a bunch of like social justice college students that have no experience to like do this stuff, and those kids are trying to implant their political ideas into the stuff. And like, okay, you're probably always going to get something like that to some degree. The reason why they're even getting through is because he's trying to appease to the party that he's trying to run with. And I think
Yo,
all evidence points towards that. Well, not
yo,
not
do you
not
want?
to like every single factor, because like, you have people like, well, the fact that BlackRock has so much in Disney, I think also is something to that. But yeah, he's trying to run for president. But
Do you want to? This is kind of unrelated. This is unrelated to Bob Iger, but do you want to borrow my copy of Song of the South? Because I own two
yeah,
copies.
I have never seen it. What do you have it on? VHS?
I have it on Blu-ray.
Oh, okay, even better. I was saying because I have like
I
two
have a, I
VCRs.
have a they've never made a Blu-ray. Obviously, it's a bootleg copy. So I have two
Oh, so
Blu-rays. I have
someone ripped it to
Yeah,
Blu-ray.
someone ripped it.
Yeah.
So the first one I have was sold to me from Japan because it's not illegal to sell in Japan, and they can sell it anywhere the fuck they want. And it's got so many bonus features. But then the second Blu-ray that I have is a 35 millimeter print that's been converted into the Blu-ray, so it's very clear. I want to see the racism like clearly. I want to
I
see the
want to see that.
crisps.
Well, honestly, I've heard about it. I've heard about it, and it doesn't necessarily sound racist.
Oh,
It
dude, it's
just,
it's it's pretty fucking
I
racist.
mean, dude, if get this, sometimes you got to look at something for the times, and not only do you have to look at it for the times, you have to look at the times and the context of whatever it is talking about. If
Don't get
there's
me
a
wrong.
role,
Don't get me wrong. The movie's actually pretty good.
decent. Okay,
Yeah, it's
well,
pretty
hey,
decent. It's a decent movie. It's not like I don't know how to say whether it's upsetting or anything. It's just literally every character in the movie is a black caricature, and it's different. It's a different version of it. So it's like difficult to say. Like, yes, it has like this racist thing like looming over
I
it.
think you have to look at it as a product of the time and not necessarily go into it
That's
like,
that's exactly what it was, and I think there's a part in the movie where it's like a song, and it's they talk about Tar Baby, but it was like a different meaning at that time, and then it like shifted and it became a racial slur. So then people just kind of started calling it absolutely racist. And actually, you want to know the movie would screen in theaters regularly back in the 80s. So like it's been a classic since that time. And
yeah,
even
and get
Leonard
this, the
Leonard
ride only opened not what 30 years ago, right? Like Splash Mountain,
yeah,
which is
right.
now closed, which get
Yep.
this, here's what's funny to me. They were like, "Oh, we're closing Splash Mountain because, it's a little, because we recognize that, Song of the South is racially insensitive and blah blah blah, and we will be replacing it
There you
with
go.
a different
That's the right thing.
attraction."
That's the
And then
right
it's
way to
like, but get this, then it's like, what's the different attraction? Guess what it is? Do you know?
I don't know.
Guess what ride is going to be where Splash Mountain is?
My first thought was Guardians of the Galaxy, but I don't even know.
Princess and the Frog.
Yo, ain't that something? And I hate that movie. I don't like that movie.
What? You don't like Princess and the Frog?
Yeah, I really didn't like it.
Why?
I just really hated it. I just didn't like
You
it. I
hate
thought it
it? When's the
sucked.
last time you watched it?
When it came
Wait.
out, like 2009.
Yo, watch it again. Watch it again.
Okay. Yeah, I remember I told that to somebody, and they were like, "Are you fucking crazy?" And I'm like,
No,
"I just
dude, it
don't. I hate
really
it."
is. I think it's one of the best. I would say it's in my
It's
top five, actually.
it's
Like,
it's
it's
that
exactly
movie.
like a Renaissance movie. And
It's
like in
that
all the good
movie.
ways.
It's that movie and Rogue One that I hate, and people always go like, "You're wrong. You're just
I've
wrong." And
already
I'm like,
told you you're wrong about Rogue One.
I
If
hate Rogue One. That
if
movie
the new star,
sucks.
if Kathleen Kennedy has done anything right, it was Rogue One
I don't think
and The
she's done
Mandalorian.
anything right, and I don't think she knows a goddamn thing about Star Wars, even though she's
She's an
been involved
idiot.
with these products.
She is the perfect example of how you can fail upward in Hollywood.
Oh my god.
She
Yeah,
is
and she's been
literally stood
involved.
on the she stood on the
Yeah,
shoulders of geniuses.
yeah, giants. The same way that I guess Newton called other people. I guess. Anyway, I don't know why the fuck I said that because I don't mean nothing. Yeah. I hate those movies. But yeah, you put the nail on the head for me. It's like I guess you could say that Song of the South is racially insensitive. Like, because I mean, you just show that type of movie to people, you're like, oh, okay, I see why this pisses
I
people
mean,
off so
again,
much.
look at it from the times, but like that doesn't mean
I
that you
saw it.
still
I
can't get
saw it.
anything from it.
I saw it, and it was pretty decent because the songs were great. The animation was beautiful. Like everything about that movie was great. But it's just the caricatures, like the crow, the rabbit. They all use like the words. They talk like very like they talk like I was gonna do the impression, but I
Isn't
shouldn't.
Brer Rabbit and stuff? Aren't those like
Yeah,
slave stories anyway? So like I like
yeah.
again, I get it, but at the same time, I'm not
I
like
don't think
it's
that they should. I
theater.
don't think that they should censor those things. Like they
Yeah.
should make them available for the public to see. Like like I do go against censorship of any
Well,
type of
you've seen
product.
the Disney Plus like advisory, like so like they don't some stuff they have changed or some stuff they just don't post at all. But there's other
Hmm.
things where I guess they're like, okay, we'll give this a pass. But before it comes on, they're like, the following thing depicts things that may be insensitive, and
Hmm.
it was the times and it was wrong then, and we think it's wrong now. But instead of changing it, we thought it was just, appropriate to just let you know that we don't stand by. And it's like, let people agree. Like, so I've been rewatching the Muppet Show with my daughter,
Hmm.
like the one from like the 70s, 80s.
Yeah,
First off, hilarious,
those are
fantastic,
good shows.
great show, guys. If you've never sat down and watched the Muppet Show, please do yourself a favor.
Did you ever
Um,
watch them in school? Because I think we were in the same classroom when we watched it, like in school.
I've
Like
always
they.
grown up with Muppets. I've seen the Muppet Show a lot as a kid. I've seen like all the movies and stuff as a kid. But like this, as far as like the show, like I watched the Muppet Christmas Carol. I do that like every year, usually actually. So like I just watched that not too long ago. But I hadn't like watched the show, and so like at first, my daughter's she really likes Bear in the Big Blue House. So I was like,
Oh,
all
it's a
right,
great
so
show.
yeah, yeah, really good show. So I was like, okay, so Muppets, great. I was like, so I'll just put. I was like, oh, let's just where it all began, boom. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, yo, this is really, 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 really funny. And before some of the episodes, they have this little advisory thing, and it's the same thing with like Aladdin. When you put on Aladdin, the thing comes up, and it's like, oh, some of this stuff maybe, and it's like, dude, let people are smart. And get this, if
Well,
some people will interpret it like don't like anyone who's going to be like, how dare Disney? Who cares? Because get this, they're either not buying or their money is not going to make a difference. I assure you, Disney, do not be afraid. And get this, we know Disney doesn't actually care because if Disney actually cared about half the stuff that they go on and on and on about, they would not have dealings in a majority of the crap that they do. They wouldn't have parks in like the Middle East, like all that. Like why? Oh, wait until June comes. It's gonna be rainbow mouse ears and all that, and yet
mhm.
they're selling and having parks in the Middle East where we already come on now. Like, yeah, so
Yeah,
like they don't actually care, guys. And that get us, that's why it's cringe to me. If you
yeah,
want to
Disney
believe in
don't.
something, I just don't have to buy your product. It's more cringy because it's like, yo, I like this. I like Walt Disney was a dope dude. And like the name and it means something now. And it's kind of shameful. I know, I know he wouldn't
What do
like
you what do you say? What means something now? What means something
it.
now?
Like Disney.
Disney's always meant something, I
Yeah,
guess. Like
like
it didn't mean
the
anything when it
brand
started,
that
but
like it's transcended. So it's I don't know. It's a big deal. But
yeah, there's a magic into there's like a magic to the brand because it has a lot of IPs that they've taken a lot of IPs from like Grimm Fairy Tales, Anderson Tales, all that stuff, and they've made their own spin on it. And with that, they defined their image throughout the years when Walt Disney was around, and then there was like a real like around like the '60s and stuff. There was some hits, but it wasn't like the golden age of Disney. And then at the 70s and 80s, they just fucking went down. And then sometime like around the 90s, they started going back the fuck up with like Aladdin and a Beauty and the Beast. You know what I mean? Like these type of Little
They were just
Mermaid.
knocking stuff out of the
they
park
they
at that point.
yeah, they were just doing it over and over again. And yeah, it's like that, bro. Like it fluctuates. It goes down and up. It just depends. We would both agree like on who's involved and what's happening. And going back to what Quentin said about the 80s part two, and he was also talking about the 50s because of if I'm not mistaken, the Hayes Code and stuff like that that was happening back then, where you couldn't do certain things in big studio pictures, you know, and get it greenlit, or they would just take you the fuck down. And that's prior to the MPA that those type of things were going on. So yeah, it just really depends on who's helming these projects
Well,
and
Disney
what they
really
want to do.
needs to. Excuse me.
They're making mad
Disney.
money.
I mean,
And
yeah, they're
actually,
making
I
money,
want
but
to.
they've also lost a lot of money. Like, to be quite honest, they're not doing as well, and it's because of other things. Like that whole crypto thing. Like, yeah, they're doing damage control. Like, they are in trouble, but like, I mean, because they have so much money, that's why they take L's like this, and that's why it doesn't seem like it really affects them or like they get too worried. They
Yeah,
are L's,
I
like
think
rest
they're
assured. But
making mad money from the parks and shit. And also, like
the
when you
parks
talk
are
about
another reason why they're losing money, though.
when you're talking about like those discretion advisory like messages that they put in Disney Plus for the Muppets and stuff, it's not Disney. It's literally parents, but they're not like you. They're parents
I'm
that look
telling
at
you right
that stuff
now,
and they're like,
parents aren't like they're not. They
"Nah, you
don't
don't
care.
understand. You don't understand how fucking crazy and protective some parents would be on the littlest shit, and they'll complain to companies like, "Why are you doing this?" Like it's like they depend on other things to take care of their child. You know, like they want other people to practice discretion, but they don't know how to like tell their kids from right and wrong. Like sometimes those things are problems, you know what I mean? It's not always the corporation. It's like they feel like as if they do have to do that because someone is going
No,
to hit
I
them with a
definitely get
lawsuit.
this. They do everything that they do because they want to appeal, because they want to secure what they have plus more. So like I do get
They want to jump over to every hurdle, and it doesn't matter if it feels like not important to you. That's not what they care about. They care about just meeting every single one of their quotas and not meeting up to any walls that or potential walls that are going to fuck their shit up. So they're going to do that, and I think that's fine. Like it's like show the thing, put up the warning, and then just play it. Don't censor shit. Like that's fine. Like you had a product that was for the time, as you say, and I don't think that it's right to take it down because you feel that, oh, well, it's too inappropriate for our brand. But it's like, still make it available for people to be able to watch. Just make sure that you give them settings for them to watch those type of products. But it's Disney. So Disney is kind of like, I don't know. Like, I guess I can compare Disney and Nintendo into the same, like, they're like a
it's
family brand.
yeah.
They're a
So like
family brand.
they have to they kind of always have like eyes
And
on them.
they didn't always own the Muppets. Like they didn't always own the Muppets.
Yeah,
It
I
was
know.
20th century, wasn't it? Wasn't it? So now they own all the shit. They even own
They
aliens now.
were
Shit.
Jim Henson was trying to get them to get it before he died. It looked like some things went through, but it didn't go all the way through until like sometime after he died, like in the 90s.
And Jim
But
Henson, he
guys,
would
we
make some. Oh, sure, go ahead.
oh no, wait, who?
I was gonna say Jim Henson. He used to make some pretty like racy shit.
No, Jim Henson was
He had a good sense of humor. That guy.
he was dope. But
Yeah, he was.
that pretty much, I mean, hey, Disney, they need to get it together. That is probably gonna cap it for this one. Basically, I'm gonna take a little break and then come back for the after hour stream in a little bit. Read a few stories, talk a little dirt, and yeah, but let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Crispy, thanks for joining me. I don't know if you gonna tune in for the after hours one, but yeah.
I'll be around for a little bit, but then pretty much I'm gonna call it a night after this.
All right. Well, guys, I will get at y'all later. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more updates on stuff. About to get back more into weekly streams, but until next time, Papa, peace out. Right.